So thank you all of you all for joining and welcome once again to the Power series, the Power Talks we have, and we have with us Sister Sharonah all the way joining from Israel, and the topic today would be power to discriminate or discern. And before I give it to her and Sister Claudia for the official welcoming, let me just introduce Sister Sharonah for all of y'all. So she has been serving the Brahma Kumaris in Israel for more than 25 years now. And let me tell you, academically, she's a master's in adult pedagogy from the Sorbonne University in Paris. Basically, she was born in US itself in Wisconsin, and then she did a part of her higher education in France and worked there for 10 years before returning back to the US. And then she worked for 15 years as a senior lecturer at Boston University. And a few other things. This was her professional achievements. She came in touch with Brahma Kumaris that time itself, and then she's instrumental in opening the Brahma Kumaris Center at Boston in the US, and also now she's the director of Brahma Kumaris in Israel. And a few other things. She travels extensively worldwide for a lot of service opportunities, and she has edited and authored books and articles on spiritual empowerment, social development, and healthy lifestyle. And also, what she likes to say about herself is she's a spiritual trainer and she has got a lot of passion for social development. And finally, as always, I would like to introduce her in the form of a poem. So Sister Sharonah will share on how to use the knowledge from the urn, 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 which will help us to develop the power to discern. And then our decisions in life will be as organized as a fern, and life shall then stop looking at me in the eye as a stern. Because listening to the spiritual versions, I can then start to churn and make sure that in jealousy and hatred, I don't make myself burn. So, a few lines on the power to discern or discriminate, which is the talk for today. So, today, Sister Sharonah shall throw light on how to develop the power to discriminate so that in life we can then decide when and what to eliminate. It helps us thereby to understand what we need to germinate, and it is in spirituality that we all need to culminate, which indeed gives all of us the chance to amalgamate. So, with this, I would like to pass it on to Sister Claudia. So, all yours to welcome Sister Sharonah. Over to you. Yeah.
Shanti, Sister Sharonah, it's so nice to have you with us. So all the way from Israel to Vancouver to going over the whole Europe and then India. So you are with us everywhere. So almost omnipresent. So it's very nice to have you to tell us about a very important power, which is the power of discernment. We have to learn this power. So if we don't learn this power, how can we live in life? So I like to give you some flowers from Vancouver. So a little bit of white, and because Canada is white and red, and we just had Canada Day. So our flag is red and white. So nice. Welcome to be with us today. And we all are going to enjoy your presence. Thank you very much.
Om Shanti to everyone. And really, I must say, I have never been welcomed with a poem. So I'm delighted at that kind of artistic preparation for each one of your evenings together, whereby Dr. Manoj literally creates a new creation each time. Very, very lovely. Thank you. So tonight's power is the power to discern. Power means the ability, right? In French, the word pouvoir means the ability. Je peux, I can, I have this ability. So we are saying that there is this ability to discern, and it works as a power for us. So wouldn't it be nice if we had some kind of gadget which would just enable us in a flash to know what is true versus when we're being deceived by others, a circumstance, a situation, some kind of gadget which would just allow us immediately to know what's the right way to go, what's the wrong way to go, what's true, what's false. Because this is what we need this power to discern for, right? We don't like being fooled. We don't like being deceived. So how great if we had such a gadget. You know, they have these gadgets now. You attach it to your wrist or you attach it to your shoulder and it counts your footsteps, for example. Or now they even have these gadgets which measure your whole metabolism. So wouldn't it be nice to have such a gadget? Immediately discerning for us a right decision from a wrong one, a true circumstance or decision from a false one, like that. So the good news is that there is such a gadget. And we each and every one of us have this gadget. It's actually built in to the system, placed somewhere where you put your mind. So of course, what am I talking about? What is this internally built gadget? Actually, there would be many names for it. Some might call it intuition. You know, this little birdie, a little birdie told me. Intuition, the little birdie, a gut feeling. Sometimes that's what we call this gadget, this inbuilt apparatus also. You just have a gut feeling that you shouldn't buy this or you shouldn't book your ticket yet. And either you listen to that gut feeling or you don't. And then you usually pay for the fact that you didn't listen to it. So it could also be a gut feeling. So it exists. It exists. In the Brahma Kumaris, we call it the buddhi, which could be loosely translated as intellect, but it's not intellectual kind of intellect. It's more like just this capacity, we do have it, to really know the difference between what is good for me and what is not good for me, truly. What is reflective of the truth and what is not reflecting the truth. We have an intellect, we have a buddhi. And if you doubt that, you can just see anytime you're arguing with your own self, who's arguing? The mind will have one idea, often determined by my programmings and conditionings, but the buddhi is not connected to my programmings and conditionings. It's separate from that. It's a voice coming from a different place. And so when my mind is coming up with one idea, but then there's another idea in there, that's the buddhi arguing, holding a deeper knowing of what just my programmings and conditionings, my habits are throwing up to my consciousness. The buddhi, it's in there, and it is that gadget, which can tell me in a flash the difference between what's right in any given circumstance and what's not. So that's the good news. The gadget exists, and we all have one. The bad news is, obviously, something's happened to this buddhi, this marvelous gadget, which could determine for us in a flash a safe next step forward. It has been damaged. It has been damaged. So, a very important question when we look at this subject of discernment power is to understand this damage so that we can fix it and enjoy this beautiful capacity of ours. Very unique to our human species, at least to the degree that we enjoy it and can enjoy it. So first of all, let's see what are the signs, especially a main sign that indeed it's in there, but indeed it's damaged. What is the main sign of this? So now I will ask you to put on that first video, the screen share, and we'll see what this video can teach us about the power to discern, especially a main sign that this capacity has been damaged. So first of all, what did we see? We saw a monk or a yogi who was simply doing his movements, his routine. And then we saw a dog who had his own idea of how to spend the afternoon. The dog had a ball and wanted to play ball. And the yogi could not be bothered. So just try to throw that ball as far away as possible. Get rid of the dog. Now, while I'm just reviewing what we saw, you are thinking of my original question, which is, what's the biggest sign that our body is severely damaged? Not just a little bit of damage. A little bit of damage that we can manage in life. We can still figure out what's right, what's wrong without too much difficulty. We can still figure out true from false without too much difficulty. What's the sign that, on the contrary, we are deceiving ourselves very much? The buddhi, the intuition, the gut feeling, which could help us so much, is actually in great danger. So you're thinking of the answer for that, and you will be writing that in the chat as we just continue clarifying what we saw. The monk threw this thing and actually threw it too hard. It went over the cliff. The little dog jumped over the cliff to get the ball. And then the monk realized what he'd done, what he was responsible for. And so he went in search of that little dog. Ultimately, he did find him, but the little dog was hurt. Unconscious at the least, but still alive, right? And then what happened? The yogi monk carried him up and then brought in some healing, pure energy of the yogi. And after a while, the dog awakened, right? And then what did we see? We see that this experience did not stop the yogi from his yogi routines, but the yogi upgraded his routine to include the needs of another. And both yogi and doggy lived happily ever after, right? So what is the biggest sign that our buddhi, this marvelous capacity to discern, is severely damaged? What would you say? Did we get any answers in the chat? Manoj Bhai, or anyone of the organizers, if you could read the chat to me. I don't know if anybody's written in yet.
No,
You
we
can also
haven't.
speak.
Any
Huh?
There is one from Rodi. He says, compassion, empathy, sweetness, ego. Two. I don't know.
Okay, so the biggest sign is that ego overrides our compassion and sweetness. Okay, yeah, big sign. Anyone else? I don't know if you're used to doing chats or interaction on these programs, but just curious.
Yeah, one person is saying, because our conscience is not active. So there are direct chat for host and co-hosts.
Say that last part again. So what?
Our conscience is not active.
Okay. So what's the sign that our conscious is not active? Very practical.
We end up making mistakes.
We end up making mistakes. We do. We do. Yes, that's a big sign. And what's the biggest mistake we can make? In other words, what's the biggest truth? Righteousness that we need to discern. So I will share with you my thought on this. Selfishness. It's an aspect of ego, isn't it? But the biggest sign I feel that our guiding light of a gut feeling or intuition or buddhi is damaged is that we become very isolated in our own little world.
Somebody says inferiority complex. Somebody says need.
Yeah. Ultimately,
false pride. False pride.
Yeah, which is ego. Yeah, inferiority. Yeah, all of these things. We're going to see how they have their place. But I'd like to put forward the platform of selfishness because so many of us would not realize how selfish we've become. We're just taking care of ourselves. This yogi was taking care of himself. And even on a spiritual path, we say, you'd better take care of yourself before you start taking care of others, because otherwise the taking care of others is kind of on empty. You don't really have that patience. You don't really have that tolerance. You don't really have that love. But you try to give it. You try to be that and do that because you want to take care of others. So we say, no, take care of yourself first. But when the buddhi is not healthy, when it's damaged, this gut feeling or intuition is damaged, then we work with only one part of the equation. We're just taking care of ourselves, and we forget that the whole purpose and reason to take care of ourselves is so that we can have something real to offer others, to help others, to cooperate with others, to donate to others. This is the sign. We get lost in our own little world and we think that that's okay, but it's not okay. It's the biggest untruth. It's the biggest falseness. No man is an island, as they say. We are so connected to each other, and we are connected in a very loving way. The old-fashioned word is, we are a brotherhood. Everybody talks about it. But where is it? What is it? We are so connected, in a loving way, as all children, one family, with God as our mother, father. So this, it doesn't matter, and I don't care, and turning away and isolating myself. Very big deception, the biggest. I'm calling it selfishness. So what was going on with that yogi? Can we take a look at that video one more time? Because we want to understand if it's true that there was selfishness going on. Does it repair? And what's really the reparation? So can we see it again? And you're thinking about an answer to this question, and you can put it in the chat as we watch the video again. I would say a good question as we watch it again is another name for this buddhi, another name for this gadget, which automatically could guide us always about what's right or what's wrong. Another name. And then how does it repair? So you're thinking about the answers to that while we watch it again. So what's another word for this buddhi? This guiding light intuition, gut feeling, a word that makes it very easy to grasp. Anybody come up with anything there?
Yeah, so people have started mentioning. I mentioned first that arrogance and anger are the biggest depleters of spirituality and for a yogi. Sister Claudia is saying the yogi had to lose in order to realize the friendship. So someone is saying decision or intellect, compassion also, inner light of love. They're saying there's
Someone
nothing to
also,
lose. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
someone
Yeah.
also said moral compass.
Moral compass. There you go. Moral compass. Yeah. Yeah. See, this is the point. This intellect, buddhi, gut feeling, whatever you want to call it, this is actually our conscience. Conscience. We human beings and other animals too, other species too, they have a moral compass. We have a moral compass. There is a built-in morality to our species. And it works beautifully. Originally, I can always know what's true, what's not true, what's good for me, life supporting, forward moving for me, as well as for others. I can always know that, except unless and until that moral compass gets damaged. So what damages it? How have I ended up destroying a so important component of my human life, my human being? And it's very simple. We stopped listening to it. We stopped listening to it. So it became a very weak muscle or a very weak voice. And that's what we say. We say, you know, a little birdie told me I shouldn't X, Y, Z. But we say it after we did X, Y, Z because we didn't listen to that little birdie. And actually, it's not a little birdie. It's a very big birdie. You know, we say a little voice told me. It's a very big voice, but we have made it very little. We have made it very weak by not listening to it. Not listening to it. So for example, you can just see in your own life how you could have been raised understanding and learning and in a family which really believed that it's wrong to get angry, that anger is not a reflection of our innate dignity. Or I remember he always told us that to use swear words was laziness, because with swear words, you're not really identifying what's the problem, what's the reason for the anger. You're just expressing it in an ugly way. For the longest time, but you know, everyone around me was getting angry. Everybody around me was swearing, using cussing words. And what I saw was that it was the people who were getting angry who seemed to be getting ahead in life. They were the ones who seemed to be getting what they wanted, whereas me, who didn't get angry, I was not getting what I wanted. I remember I was 16 years old when I tried out getting angry. And by age 20, I was an absolute master at it. And I can also tell you in those first few times that I allowed myself to get angry, I experimented with getting angry, I felt sick to my stomach. It felt so wrong. But because, you know, lightning bolts did not descend from the sky, bushes weren't set on fire because of the wrath of God, I did it again. First time you break what you feel is right, you know is right, you've been taught is right, it does feel like God himself would descend to punish you. But when that doesn't happen, you go ahead and do it a second time. Even then, the conscience will say, don't do it, don't do it. What are you doing? But it'll be a lot easier. And the third time you do it, there'll hardly be any resistance, any voice, anything left of your innermost guidance to tell you this is not good. 3 times doing it is enough to kill that beautiful conscience, very subtle spiritual organ, which otherwise could be such a guiding light for me. Because by the 3rd time you do it, you're looking around and you're saying, well, look, everybody does it. Everybody does it. I'm only human, type thing. So it's because we've stopped listening to it that voice has become small, it's become weak, that guiding light has become very faint, distant. And there are basically 3 expressions of that: distance and weakness. First one is, I can know that the way I just talked or the way I just behaved was not right. I can know that what I'm about to do is not a good thing, but I can't stop myself. That's one expression of the weak buddhi. I can't stop myself. A second expression is, I know very well that this is not a good thing, but what I've done is I've spent a lot of time putting my energy into creating a behavior which looks right. Inside me, it's not right. I am resentful. I am intolerant. I do not accept this person, this situation. But because I know that that's not right, I create a very good performance in which I look tolerant, I look accepting, but actually I'm not. And we all know from experience that this really can't go on forever. You can't fool all the people all the time. And the third expression of the weak buddhi is that I honestly don't know anymore that it's wrong. Ego is a very good expression of that. We get so used to defending ourselves and believing in ourselves and proving ourselves and defending ourselves that we don't even recognize anymore how closed off we've become from the collectivity, from the community, the brotherhood that we really are. Other people see it, but we don't. We just think that we're trying to manage things. We're trying to take care of things. We're trying to do the right thing and get others to do the right thing. We don't realize that it's actually bossiness, arrogance, and, basically being a control freak. All 3 of these expressions, the whole world of a weak buddhi is disaster. Disastrous results. And I think some of you were mentioning this in the chat. When you are inside knowing that the thing is wrong, but rather than put your energy into gathering the feelings and the attitudes which are right, you put your energy instead in just creating a right performance. Put your energy in looking right, even though inside is something completely different. This makes us very heavy, creates this duality in which we're more focused on the image of ourselves rather than the real self. We're not taking care of the real self. We're taking care of the image of the self. So we get very distant from the real self. And you can't really have good relationships with others. You can't really get close to others if you're not close to your own self. And this is what's happened in the world today to such a great extent. If I don't know that I'm making mistakes, that my choices, my decisions, my attitudes and behaviors are wrong, if that in that third case, I don't even realize it, then I'm in the biggest deception of all. I haven't recognized the greatest truth of all. It's to discern my own self. Because the truth of we human beings is not just that we're very connected as family, it's a brotherhood, but that each of us individually is very godlike, divine. And while I'm making all these mistakes in the way I'm talking or behaving, and I don't even realize it, it means I haven't even, or I've lost the most basic truths about myself, let alone my connection to others. See what I'm saying? So, how can we get this buddhi, get our conscience healthy, so that I don't have to be arguing with myself, because this is another sign, actually, that my discernment power is very weak. It's so hard to know what's right or wrong. It's so confusing. You're constantly arguing in yourself. This whole concept of not having the strong buddhi means you've lost your anchor. Your principles, your values are not anchored, and they don't anchor you. You don't have an anchor. You blow with the wind. You're very influenced by what people say and what people think, and you use their principles and values to make decisions for your own life. So how can we repair this damaged buddhi? Because one of the greatest truths, to say it in another way, not just that we're so connected in a loving way, that each one of us are godlike in our ability to be loving and joyous, but also, well, just this ability to be completely self-sovereign, to move through life not influenced by the winds that blow, but actually to be an influence. This is also part of our greatest truths, the truth of our species. We can be self-generatingly in well-being. We don't need others, situations, people to give us that. And this truth, as we develop it in ourselves, we are originally independently good and loving and powerful. With this truth, we become givers. A wonderful, important truth of our species, instead of takers. The expression of that inner emptiness, which is the result of distancing ourselves from our own selves. So, how to come back to the greatest truths, the ability to discern myself, the truth of myself, the truth of the situations and people and relationships around me. Basically, what I have seen in my own life is that you need some kind of spiritual study in your life, some kind of book or knowledge, let it be a priest, a rabbi, the sermons, the Bible, the Quran, whatever, but some kind of study that reminds you of this larger picture of it all, the connectivity between us all, the brotherhood that exists, no matter what it looks like in the world today. To start my day with that, and to really have a study. This is what we do at the Brahma Kumaris. We have 7 concepts that we learn, and then we have class every morning to start our day, to remember and reinforce what we're studying. So that's one thing. You need a study to feed that conscience. Sorry, I've got an alarm going off here. Sorry. But secondly, you also need to experience these truths. Oh, even before experience, I would say meditation. Meditation is very helpful because meditation means you're not just studying, you're not just reading that Bible or the Quran, or you're not just praying, but you've got time for reflection. To me, that's what meditation is. You're just sitting and reflecting on these larger truths, the things about life that are beyond what the physical senses tell you. Basically, with a spiritual study and meditation, you have to prove to yourself some of these truths I've been sharing now, that we really are a brotherhood, sisterhood. We really are connected in a most loving and godly way. We have to prove this to ourselves. We have to prove that not only is our interconnectedness one of love, but each one of us individually, I alone, am a very loving being. I'm a very good being, no matter what has come into my character. Well, I've forgotten that. Very peace-loving. There's a lot of joy in the original makeup of the soul. So a spiritual study and meditation help me prove that to myself. And what also helps them is yoga. Yoga is separate from meditation because it invites me into the experience of that. You know, really, just beyond the mind is this whole like pool of the very energies of my divinity, the energies of my godliness. And with reflecting, meditation, we can move right past the mind into those very beautiful energies. And I can tell you that that's what bought me for once and for all on these big ideas of how love is the most important truth, and we ourselves are made of love. I finally had my first experiences in yoga after starting my studies with the Brahma Kumaris. Such an intense experience of God, God's love for me. And I was somebody who didn't even believe in God. I wasn't even looking for God, I'm sorry to say. But that experience, my goodness, I just looked around at anybody who was wearing a Brahma Kumaris badge, and I was saying, I want to be like you. That's where I want to go. So the experience is so important to prove to ourselves these bigger truths. And then, of course, there's sharing them. And these are actually the 4 courses of our school. Understanding these concepts, such as I am a child of God, soul, original religion is peace, but then also reflecting on that, meditating on that. The word our brother Manoj used earlier was churning that, going into the depth of that. Use the mind, think, go deep, make it your own, connect it to your own journey. But then yoga, experiencing it, experiencing the self as a soul, separate from the body, and very powerfully peaceful, happy, loving. But then also I would say, another thing we need to do is practice, put this into our character, because there's a lot of reasons that we've ended up distanced from that natural, original pool of our goodness, our ability to know that love is right, and then love rightfully, not love with dependency, love with neediness, love with selfishness. That's not accurate love. That's not love rightfully. So I have to take these truths I've been studying, take these truths I've been experiencing when I've sat down in yoga, and I have to push them into my programming, override an old programming which keeps me stubborn or intolerant or non-accepting because of what I've been studying and experiencing, and I'm trying, experimenting, patience, tolerance, acceptance, living my life within this framework that this is my brother. We are connected. This is my sister. So practicing, experimenting, and then sharing. There you go, 4 subjects of our school. Knowledge, I am a peaceful, loving child of God. Yoga, to experience that. Practice, experimenting, put it into my life, my character, change myself, transform, or I should say, enable, allow the metamorphosis to happen. Because originally we are butterflies. We've forgotten that. We've begun to think of ourselves as caterpillars, but that's not the truth. First, discernment has to be this. Who am I? Where do I come from? Who do I belong to? This godliness, this divinity. And then the sharing, which is so beautiful and so innate to our character and brings so much fulfillment. Giving, giving. If I have lots of peace inside me, then let me give that. In the next time my relationships with somebody turns stressful or irritable, let me donate, let me share my peace. Then it'll only grow inside me, right? So this is how we will definitely begin to hear the voice of truth talking to us more and more. Intuitively, we will begin to know, not just when somebody in front of me is faking it, or it's not an honest deal I'm being offered, or whatever, but we will, much more importantly, start knowing when I myself go off track. I'm faking that acceptance, or I'm angry, or this behavior or speech are the things of ego. We start seeing that. And if we hear that little voice saying, That's not nice. Apologize. Connect to your inner self, your highest truth, and experiment. This is the moment. Put in something better right here, right now. Then the buddhi, the gut feeling, the intuition, it starts getting stronger and stronger. And we become so beautiful. The butterfly we really are starts emerging again. And life just becomes completely different. I'm no longer dependent on anyone to make me experience beauty, the beauty of life or the beauty of myself. But I'm beautiful, a butterfly, and I'm free, flying, able to share that beauty with anybody, everybody. So these are some of the greatest truths we need to discern. I'm good. God is good. There are so many other things that we will discern when this kind of discernment starts. Even every scene in life is also good. The truth is that the universe is not a hostile place. At every moment, it's just trying to get me to see how wrong is wrong and how right is right, and that love is right. Again, rightful loving, not emotional loving, which can get us into all sorts of trouble, but this original innate connectedness. So what we need to be discerning, what's happened to our innate ability to discern and how to repair it. I hope that this has kind of given a bit of an outline. And I don't know if you want to share some of the things that were in the chat from before, or maybe there are any questions.
Yeah.
How do we go? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your, enlightenment with it's really amazing. I really have no words to express, because you went into the depths of this conscious and made us realize who we are. What is this conscience? So as you were taking the sharings, I'll just take one question from the chat box. The person is asking that when I make some wrong decisions or whatever, anger, arrogance, it happens so quickly that I only realize it after having done it, and that something was really wrong when I was doing it. So how do I know the right thing at the right moment? How do I rectify at that very point itself before doing it?
Yeah, it's this gut feeling, this intuition, or we can say the conscience, right? That conscience, if it was healthy, undamaged, in a second, on the spot, before you even open your mouth to say the wrong thing, it would be guiding you and telling you, you can do better. Or you would just be doing better. All the old programmings and conditionings start being left behind. So we need to fix the buddhi, which doesn't happen in 1 second. We need all those steps that I talked about. Spiritual study, a routine in which every day I have time for reflecting on what I'm studying, meditation, a routine in which every day I have yoga, where I'm experiencing these larger realities, larger truths. And then throughout the day, I'm practicing, I'm experimenting, I'm going to use that piece in a peaceless moment on myself, with others. I'm going to start requiring of myself a new degree of honesty, holding myself accountable for these truths that I've begun to prove to myself. All of these things feed the buddhi. You could say feed the buddhi, you could say exercise the buddhi. make stronger that little voice which was telling me I shouldn't this, I should that. It makes it louder and louder, stronger and stronger. And then I come back to very healthy being, constantly guided by what's right instead of maybe just what everybody says to do or what everybody's doing. So it's a bit of a process. In the same way, if I realize that my headaches, my migraine headaches, are actually because I'm eating too much dairy. So next time I get the headache, there isn't some, if we really want to get to the root of it, there isn't, you know, I'm not going to just keep reaching for an aspirin. I'm not just going to do some meditation or anything, you know, to get rid of that headache, especially once I come to know that it's because I'm eating dairy. I'm going to have to uproot that addiction to dairy, because I might very well understand that the dairy is producing that, but I don't have the power to stop eating the dairy. So we've got to get to the root, and the root of wrong decisions, wrong behaviors, wrong words is a buddhi which is weak. My conscience, which is not operating for me anymore. And when my conscience is not there for me, I become my own worst enemy, when I actually could be my own best friend.
Right. Thank you indeed. I think it has answered the question very well. So I'll now invite one of a very important person whom you know very well. I had spoken about him to you, Dr. Ashok Mehta. He's there with us. So I'll request Dr. Mehta. He knows you, so you can close the vote of thanks. Yeah.
Sharonah Band takes me back to 1991 when I came to Boston. I had just entered the Brahma Kumaris at that point of time. And you were the one who took me to Dr. Herbert Benson at the medical center. And it was such a beautiful meeting when he said how he started working in mind-body medicine in a lobby or in a small space, and then how he became a world-famous mind-body medicine creator. As a matter of fact, I think we have always been talking of relaxation response, and whenever I think of that beautiful meeting you took me with, it was a beautiful. I miss you when I came to Israel. I think my wife met you. She came to center, and I missed meeting you. I had come for an international congress on head and neck in Jerusalem. So I think, and I've always been remembering you. I remember, you know why? I always was reminded of Mother Teresa every time I saw you. This small, exactly resembling Mother Teresa. So you are for me that enlightened individual with looks so fragile but so good. I think that was many, many years back. So it was almost 30 years back. Yeah. But I really, you took a big jump for us through the monk, and the beautiful video. I can never forget that part of it now. How we are discerning. Baba calls it a paras buddhi.
Yeah.
I don't know how you translate, but something that comes in, anything that comes in contact with that intellect becomes gold. That it converts even the metal into the gold. In other words, that's the beauty of the intellect, that it can identify, it can discern anything. And we always say, this is the one which makes you determine or fix the responsibility. Nirnay buddhi. You make the decision, the right decision at the right time. And I think we enjoyed your talk and beautiful interaction that we have had, Sharonah. So
I have
there you are. And I think that was the
to say
beginning.
it's a delight to see you. You look exactly the same as you did 30 years ago when we met. And I remember our meetings with so much fondness. One of your most outstanding qualities.
I think I'm missing out because of the internet probably is unstable here. So I'm losing your...
Besides being such a deep, churning yogi yourself, just a pleasure to see you. Such a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, Manoj Bhai, for bringing back the memories of the past with Sharonah Ben.
But that is one word that we didn't use enough in today's talk, which is how, there's realization. This is the saving grace. If we study and we are practicing and we're honest, our ability to realize that this is wrong and this is right, it grows. That when I saw the video a second time, there was this moment of realization for the monk. It was very beautiful because before that, zero realization.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing this beautiful video.
Om Shanti. It is really beautiful to see two beautiful souls, people on the screen, Dr. Mehta and Sister Sharonah. I think Brother Manoj, maybe internet, he just got knocked off of the meeting. But yeah, it is so beautiful. He would be joining again. Thank you, Dr. Mehta, and thank you, Sister Sharonah. Definitely, you have taken us deep to our heart to see if we hear our inner voice or we don't. So I'm sure we all look into it. And before we move to, sorry, Sister,
Yeah,
I think that, yeah.
I was just thinking that it's only we who lose the most if we don't listen to that little voice.
Yeah, very true. So yeah, that's what we are taking today. And I will just very quickly do the announcement of the upcoming programs before we go to the beautiful meditation that you will take us into. So for everyone, please note there will be another special program this month. It's Eid coming up. So the spiritual significance of Eid, maybe, I don't know if we have heard enough about it. So please join us for that on next Sunday, July 10th, India time 8:30 p.m., which makes it 8 a.m. West Coast time, exactly like today, with Sister Hussein, who is again with our Brahma Kumaris for a very long time meditator. She'll be joining us from Om Shanti Retreat Center in Delhi, and she will take us through this spiritual significance. So please join us then. And our next power is power to decide or judge. That's Sharonah's sister was pointing out again and again that that's what even Dr. Mehta said, that we make the decision, the nirnay, when we hear that inner voice, and then we make the right decision. So I'm sure there is a lot more aspects that we can look into to understand this power further. This is a part of, I'm sure, power to discern that we heard today. So that's power to decide or judge. We'll have Brother Enrique Simo, who is the National Coordinator of Brahma Kumaris in Spain. And it's happening on this month, Sunday, 24th July, again, same time, 8:30 p.m. India time, that's 8 a.m. West Coast time. So please note, these are the two special programs happening this month, other than our regular programs. You can get all the information on our website. That's vihasa.in and vancouver.brahmakumaris.ca. And all the videos, some people were requesting where can they find the videos, today's sessions video and all the videos you can find on the YouTube channel of Vihasa India and Brahma Kumaris Vancouver, also on our websites. So please check. Thank you, everyone. Yes, Brother Manoj is back. Maybe you can speak, brother, before we go into the meditation. I hope you can unmute yourself.
Sorry, it's just the internet is creating a lot of problems. But anyway, we'll go with the meditation. Sorry. Yeah, so thank you, Anu sister, for taking over. I hope you're able to hear me.
Yes, we could
Okay.
hear you. All is good.
Yeah, thanks. So we'll just go in the meditation mode, and because it's already quite late. Yeah, thanks.
Sister Sharonah's also internet is unstable.
Yeah.
Her. I don't know if I lost. Are you here, sister?
Yeah.
So let's just bear with us a minute.
Yeah. I was cut off, but now I'm back, I
There
think.
you go.
Okay. All right. So what we want to do is take a few minutes to come into that quiet space which exists just beyond the noisy mind. We take a few minutes to remember the larger picture of the self. Inside is not just a mind, but there is also a space beyond the mind, which is cool, clear, spacious, just like the countryside in the first day of spring. Truly, such a spacious, peaceful sanctuary exists in me. As a child of God, who is an ocean of that clean, clear, spacious, in this space, I can always know the rightfulness of nonviolence. I can know the power of peace I can know. I can experience the connection of souls, my brothers and sisters the world over. And through this connection, it's so easy to find myself on the right path, filling myself from God's ocean of truth and beauty, so that it's so natural and true. The love, the peace, and the happiness I share with all. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, sister. It's so beautiful experience at the moment, but everyone wants a picture with you, as we always do in our sessions. So I hope that's okay. So everyone, you can switch on your video and let's take a picture and make it memorable with Sister Sharonah.
That's a nice idea.
Yes, we have so many memories, and that's really beautiful. That reminds us what we are taking from today's session. So thank you, everyone. I got the
Thank you so much, Sister Sharonah, for your time
Thank
and
you.
immense thanks. Yeah.
option.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us.